Hi guys, White Witch 110. It's story time, and we continue Lover's Walk. I remember the protest in 1935, and all those men from out west converging on our city, and to do it on our country's birthday. To be fair, times were horrible. It was the Depression. No work, bills to pay, and families to feed. There wasn't much but time that healed that wound, Owen pointed out. I know all about it. I ran a small grocery business in the market. Thieves were stealing my products. My prices were as low as possible. But that doesn't matter when you have only a few cents to feed hungry people. I was doing well before it all kicked off. Once the Depression hit, I lost it all. That's how you ended up here, Owen observed. Do you remember the relief camps? Bad conditions and little pay? The people were behind us, but the governments no. They should have experienced what we did. Yes, hidden away from society, I became just another thorn in the city side. It was always painful to remember the good times, remember what I had. Most painful and embarrassing. Now here I am looking at myself in a picture book. Decades passed, but I'm remembered. Ned thought for a moment. Well, in a random photo without a name. I recall those times too well some days. Owen hadn't been as fortunate to own his own business. He was a hard-working bachelor. He was one of the first ones to lose his job at the factory. Never had much, but always enjoyed life. Both men felt empty now. Loneliness wasn't a thing of the past. They were considered best friends, shaking hands on it. We never actually fit in with them. Owen pointed towards the brush behind them. They always lived rough. 3 were disowned by family at 12. Peter, well, his wife kicked him out when he lost his job and started drinking. We all have stories. Past is gone, nothing we can do about it. The future seems a joke. What future does a ghost have? Ned reflected. At the museum, the all clear was given once more. No one had been found. One officer laughed. It must be the ghost. The women were coming to the same conclusion. He could be right, Jessie said. We've heard rumors, but why do this? Childish. I'm not saying it's a child, just the action was, Diana added. Did you want to call in a team to find out? I'm not sure. My concern is this happening while visitors are here, Jessie explained. Last thing we need is this splashed all over the papers. No, we'll handle this ourselves. Every item was back in its place before the museum opened for the day. Jessie nervously paced the floors continuously. She could not afford one slip-up. The other employees were told of the events. Jessie felt this much safer. No one needed to overhear gossip from the night before. Diana took her lunch outside in the shade of an old maple tree at the bottom of the escarpment. Opening her bag, she pulled out a small salad, sandwich, and her thermos of ice-cold water. A light breeze was so welcoming on what was turning out to be a blistering hot afternoon. Diana leaned back against the tree trunk. She exhaled a deep breath. Everything from this morning melted away. However, she felt as if someone were watching from a vantage point above her. She slowly turned her head, and no one was there. Of course no one's there, silly. Who would take a chance on climbing the escarpment? She asked herself. There was no need to climb. They had been living there all these long years. The difference now was that they could move closer. Peter was the first spirit to float down behind her. He took great delight in her response. He glared with a huge smile, seeing the confusion and discomfort on her face. He could sense the anxiety building. Enough was enough. Diana packed up her lunch, hurrying into the museum. Seeing the look on her face, Jessie wisecracked. "You look like you've seen a ghost," she laughed. Diana's expression did not change. "What happened? Did you see one?" "No, but I felt it. I was sitting under my usual tree. The feeling was overwhelming. It was almost as though I felt its breath on the back of my neck." "Is it possible it's one and the same? Could a spirit from the escarpment get into the museum?" Jessie questioned. "I don't see why not," was Diana's reply. It was a scary thought neither was willing to fully accept. Ned and Owen kept their distance from the others. Having made contact with memories so sweet, the rough edges were slipping away quickly. Ned recalled the Friday night dances, the women in flirty dresses, the scent of flowery perfume wafting through the dance hall. That's where he first noticed her fair features staring directly into his hazel eyes. She was stunning in her coral dress. It hugged her dainty shoulders. Her red hair cascaded effortlessly from the top of her head. This young woman at the museum reminded him of her. "Lost in thought?" Owen inquired. "Past running forward to greet me is all," Ned replied with a far-off gaze. Owen had memories of his own to contend with. He had left what could have been a lifetime of contentment to support a family he barely knew. So many plans abandoned, left in a village to decay. He'd seen what years of neglect did to lath and stone. His life had been no different. Ned took a chance making his way to the museum. He wanted, no, he needed, to see that young woman again. Those memories she caused became a past he desperately grasped to hold on to. If Ned could drink the emotions that raised within him, he'd seize every last drop from that bottle of wine. Jessie paced the creaking wood floor. The conundrum lay within the walls of this museum. She played over in her head scenarios on both sides of the coin. Embrace the haunting or deny it. Might mean more business with the current ghosts attached to the old building. Jessie was aware of the stories already pulled from what she considered folklore. On the second floor display, Diana felt the unease return. The museum wasn't open to visitors, though she still surveyed the room. "Hello?" She took small steps forward. "Who is there?" There was no reply. She attempted to shake the feeling. Her skin was fair and those eyes green, just like Ned recalled earlier. He stepped back to allow her room to maneuver through the displays. He once more reminisced of nights long ago. The way she moved effortlessly across the dance floor, how well she fitted in his arms, and again the scent of her perfume. Lost in memories, he hadn't moved when Diana approached. A chill ran through her body. Though it wasn't unpleasant, there was a tranquil impression that left a smile upon her face. She called out, "Who's there? I know you're here. I just felt you. Give me a sign you're here. Give me your name." She waited moments with no response. Ned was unsure. Should he respond to the request? He kept his mouth shut, but how much he wanted to speak with her. He had questions to be answered. Was Diana related to his love from the past? "I just want to let you know you can contact me. I really want to know you're real and not some imagination. I won't hurt you, she consoled. Jessie had made her way upstairs. Have a visitor, do we? She asked. Yes, I think so. I think I'll walk through it, Diana admitted. How did it feel? Jessie was curious. Comforting, believe it or not. I didn't feel threatened at all. I'm sure who's here now had nothing to do with the other night, she stated. Jessie was glad of that. Maybe we could get some answers with a spirit box. I'm excited to hear a voice. Its voice. It certainly didn't feel right referring to the spirit as it. This had been a living person. Diana stabbed a guess that it was a man by the energy. There was a fatherly sense about it. She missed her own father terribly. At home that evening, Diana pulled out a box of photos she'd been meaning to place in an album. Pictures, memories of her family. Her mother and father smiling, arms around each other at Christmas. It felt like a century ago, though it was only years. Only years, Diana said to herself. The pain is like yesterday. The air in her apartment changed. She sat still, her eyes scanning the room. Dad, is that you? Tears formed in her eyes. She didn't actually expect a response. I miss you both so very much. Some days the emptiness is more than I care to acknowledge. So many times I've gone to pick up the phone, then remember I can't. I'm all alone, but getting by. Doesn't seem a healthy life, does it, getting by? She whispered. Within those few moments, the air had changed. He was gone. Ned felt horrible. He should have attempted to say something. At the museum, he sat on the steps. His mind was set. He was not going back to the escarpment. The rest of the ghostly days would be spent here in the warmth of these stone walls. Busy season was in full swing. People from every country were visiting with an honest interest in the commissariat. The staff were invigorated after a taxing start to the summer. That's the end of this installment. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you'll join me again for the next one. And until that time, ciao for now.